Hi, this is Shelley with the Gray Wren Sewing and Crafts on Etsy and the Gray Wren Sewing and Crafts on Facebook. Today my daughter Courtney and I are going to make a teddy bear. The bear's going to be made out of this pattern called It's So Easy by Simplicity. These are some of the bears that we've made in the past that have embroidered bellies. To start, you want to pick out your fabrics. So this shirt right here is from a friend who needs a memory bear. My minky material that I'm going to add to it. For the minky material, I'm going to go ahead and make the center nose piece out of minky, the body piece out of minky, the foot, and the ears. You only have one body piece and they usually say cut two and sew down the center. Well, this is your center on the pattern. I cut two of these out and then I put it together like this. Okay, so this is what I did. I laid it on my fabric, I cut it out, and then it looks like this. So now I have one body piece that I can embroider. But I also added navy blue ears. So now I have two sets, minky and navy blue. Over here I have two pieces. So I have my back of the head, a foot with two pieces, and another foot with two pieces, an arm with two pieces, another arm with two pieces, and also the back of the body. Okay, now here's the head. On your pattern there will be a mark of an eye, and I stick a pin through it, and then I mark where the pin is with a marking pen, a marker. Next, I digitize the design for the belly. I use embroiderysoftware.com. Once I digitize the file in Embroideryware, then I save it as a PES and pull it over into another program called Sew What Pro. Notice it is about a 4x4 that I digitized. Then I go over to File and Print, and then I click on Print Template Only, and I say OK. I print the template out and lay it on my belly fabric. After I hoop my fabric to be embroidered, it is on sticky stabilizer. Then I also use this water-soluble stabilizer on top of the minky, and then I put my template back on top to make sure I have it centered, and then I line up my dot or my needle. If you don't have a red dot, line up your needle to the center of the design and start embroidering. After I'm done embroidering, I take my body front piece, fold it in half, and since this is minky, I make sure that I pin it so that it doesn't shift, and then I take the head opening right here and I line it up. We're going to take a dart in the back side of the front belly. So my dart is marked with a pin, and I sew right along this dart, this pin line. Right now I'm just taking a guess for my dart, about a finger width, and I put my pin here and about a pin length up. I angle it in for my dart. When you open up your piece, it should look like this. With the head pieces of the bear, you want to go ahead and stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance where the pins are marked. Open up your face pieces. This is your neckline. This is the nose area. This shows you the first side that I have on. So now I have my nose pin pinned in this area, and I'm going to continue on to the other side. When you're done, you're going to have something that looks like this. If you have unforgiving material that doesn't stretch, you might want to clip your corners here. I purchased these safety eyes and noses at Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics. Poke your scissors into the area where you have your dot, real close to the seam but not on the seam. Poke it with scissors, make your hole, put your eye through, and then put your back on. And there's my face. For the nose, I simply found my seam here, and just on the other side of the blue where the gray starts, next to my seam, I poked a hole. Next are the ears. I put my pins in like this so that I can just continue to sew around. Once I sew it together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, I clip my curves here. And then I turn it right side out. When you turn it right side out, lightly stuff with stuffing in the back. Now you do the same thing to the next ear. Next you want to pin your ears on to the bare face, the top of the head. I generally leave a finger space here. And then you just go ahead and you top stitch once again real close to the edge and stitch them on. Then they should look like this. Now is the time to make sure that you like the positions of the ears. If not, unsew them and resew them. With the back fabric pieces of the head, put them right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance like this, and then clip at the curve. We want to sew the headpiece together, so you put your ears down inside, then you take your back piece, you make sure you put right sides together, and then we're going to pin around here and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but leave this bottom open. Once you sew the front to the back and you clip your curves, then you turn your head right side out. Next we're going to assemble the legs. So you put your leg pieces right sides together, you stitch down a 1/4 of a seam allowance, a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you stitch down this side, and then you clip here at the curves, and then you sew part way up, back stitch, leave a space, start again, back stitch, and back stitch up here. With the leg still wrong side out, you want to take the bottom and with right sides together, you pin them together. I start with the center of my foot, and I start a pin here, and then I start a pin here, one here and one here, and I work my way around with my pins. When you're done, you take your pins out and then you clip around the edges once again, and then turn your foot right side out. Once you turn the leg and foot area to the right side, then you want to match up your seams here at the top. And so you take your leg and you turn it, I'll call this the right side, the front side. You put the front side towards the belly and you position it down here, and then we'll pin it. We do the same thing with the other leg, and we'll pin it. And they'll crisscross here. But you want to leave a good, maybe inch, 2 finger spaces right here. So now my legs are sewn onto the body. I said top stitch, but what I meant was baste it just along here or sew real close to the edge. Now we're ready for the back pieces. So what you want to do is on the wrong side of your material, you want to take this split here and you put it together. I've done it over here on this one. You put it together, pin it, and then right here you sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both pieces. So you do the same thing to this side. With right sides together, we want to sew the center back seam. The center back seam is opposite of your pleat that you just made right here. So you start at the top, you sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I put a pin this way to show that I don't want to sew here. I want to leave an opening so that I can stuff my bear. Then you sew down this way. When you open it up, your back will look like this. Here's your side pleats for the butt, and here's your opening. Next we take our front belly again. We put our legs up inside. Then we take the back piece, we turn it right side facing down. We want to pin around here and sew, but make sure you leave the top piece open for the neck. I find it easier to pin from the minky side, the belly side. So when you turn your body right side out, this is what it should look like. Okay, for the arm, I put right sides together. I went ahead and put my pins out. I put a pin this direction so that I know to leave this open. You'll want to back stitch here and here once again because you're going to have an opening for your fingers to go through and stuff the arm. You continue on down here, around, and up. Once you clip the curves, you turn your arm right side out and it will look like this. Okay, so now I have my arms done, and I also put a really close stitch to the edge to help hold the front to the back. Then we're going to take our body, turn it sideways, and we are going to put the arm right up here at the seam. Okay, so this is what you have so far. The body is together. Now what we want to do is turn this body inside out, put the arms inside and the legs inside, and I'll show you what to do next with the head. Okay, so right now my body is turned inside out. My arms and legs are on the inside. Then I take the head and I turn it upside down and I stick it inside. Before I go any further, in order for me to sew the neck, I have to sew it so that I'm sewing like this on my sewing machine. Even though I have a cylinder arm, this hole is too little. So my presser foot has to go on the inside right here. So I'm going to pin on the inside. In all honesty, I think this is the hardest part of the bear in my opinion. Because what you're going to do is start at the back seam, 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew a little, turn your fabric, sew a little, turn your fabric until you make a complete circle. So once you sew the head on, through the back opening of the belly, you pull your bear right side out and it will look like this. Okay, once you stuff the bear firmly, make sure it's stuffed firmly, then you're going to want to go and use the ladder stitch or the invisible stitch and close these seams up. For the ladder stitch, you take a needle and thread, you double it and tie a knot at the end. Next, I'm going to show you a series of pictures of how to do the ladder stitch. I pull my needle all the way through, if I can do it one-handed here. From those pictures I went back and forth. See, I got a ladder going there, and then I just pull it tight, and it hides the seam. I do that all the way up the edge. So this is what my seam looks like. But at the end, what I do, my seam ended right here. I take my needle, and this is machine stitched here. I take my needle and go all the way down, about maybe an inch down from the seam, and I pull my needle through, and that tightens things up. And sometimes I just go back and forth here just a couple times to secure it like a little knot, and I'm done. And here's the finished bear. Isn't that cute? I love it. So there's my bear. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more videos, please like and subscribe and comment below, and I will make some of the videos that you comment on.